Hello friends, continuing with the instructional videos on the S100 inverter from the LS brand, today we want to learn another method of starting up the inverter together. In previous sessions and videos we learned how to start and stop the inverter using the keypad and the network. Today we want to learn how to start and stop the inverter using the command terminals of the inverter. In this video, we want our frequency setting to still be done via the keypad. So we need to set the FQ parameter in the main operation group to 0 and assign it a fixed value. However, if we want the start and stop commands for our inverter to come from the command terminals, that is through the digital inputs of the inverter, we need to set the DR parameter in the main group to 1, which is the same as FXRX1. If we do this, our command source will be from the digital input terminals of the inverter. But how should we do the wiring? If you have two switches, 0 and 1, where, for example, switch S1 is for starting in the forward direction and the second switch, S2, is for starting in the reverse direction or left rotation, you need to connect one of the wires to terminal P1. In all these LS inverters, you have digital input terminals P1 and P2 for forward and reverse directions. By default, in all these LS inverters, when you purchase the inverter or reset it to factory settings, terminal P1 is set for starting in the forward direction and terminal P2 is set for starting in the reverse direction. If you want to configure this through the input parameters, as we mentioned, IN65 corresponds to P1 and IN66 corresponds to P2. You should set IN65, which is related to digital input P1, to forward, and IN66, which is related to P2, to reverse. But if you leave it at default or restore factory settings, P1 will be for forward and P2 for reverse, with CM as the common terminal. For the first on-off switch today, connect one side to P1 and it's common to CM. And for the stop switch, connect it to the digital input terminal P2 and CM. This is the wiring, but how does it actually work? If your digital input P1, which is connected to switch S1, is on and your S2 switch is off, the inverter will run in the forward direction. If S1 is off and S2 is on, the inverter will start in the reverse direction. If both switches S1 and S2 are off, the inverter will be in the stop state. And if both switches, both digital inputs, are on at the same time, meaning both are at a logical 1, the inverter will also be in the stop state. So up to this point, we've learned the settings related to the inverter's digital inputs for starting and stopping the inverter through these inputs. Now let's move on to the equipment and apply all the settings we've learned and test this feature together. As we mentioned in the settings of this inverter, in order to control the inverter via digital inputs, the DRV parameter, which is our command source, must be set to 1. We go into the DRV parameter in the main group, press enter to access it, see that it's set to 1 and confirm it. The FREQ parameter, which we said we want to set a value for from the keypad, should be set to 0 and we confirm that as well. In the main parameter group, we set the frequency value, for example 30 Hz, and confirm it. As we said, in LS inverters, by default, digital inputs P1 and P2 are set for forward and reverse respectively if you reset to factory settings or have just purchased the inverter. But if you want to make sure in the settings that digital inputs P1 and P2 are set for forward and reverse, you go to the IN group. IN65 is related to digital input P1 and should be set to 1, meaning it's defined for forward. 65 is for P1, 66 is for P2. If you want it to be in reverse, it should be set to 2. You see that it's set to 2. Let's go back. The inverter is now in stop mode, meaning no command has been given to the inverter yet. The 0 and 1 switches are for the reverse direction and this switch is for the forward direction. Now I'm going to activate the forward direction switch. You can see that the inverter starts at a frequency of 30 Hz and the indicator light for the forward direction turns on. If I want to stop this input, I simply deactivate this digital input and you'll see that the inverter goes into stop mode. Now, if I want to activate digital input P2 and have the inverter start in the reverse direction, I need to activate this 0-1 switch. Now I'll activate this switch and you'll see that the inverter starts in the reverse direction or counterclockwise. According to the table we discussed earlier, if I activate both of these digital inputs at the same time, the inverter should go into stop mode. Now I'll activate this digital input as well, and you'll see that the inverter goes into stop mode and the frequency starts to decrease. So, if we want to send a command to the inverter through the digital inputs to run in either the right or left direction, only one of the digital inputs, either for the left or right direction, should be active. If both of them are active at the same time, the inverter will go into stop mode. Now I'm going to deactivate the forward direction. You'll see that since the digital input for the reverse direction is still active, the inverter starts running in reverse and reaches a frequency of 30 Hz.